Previously on the Steve Fox career mode. So we're having up to 5 red lights here at Monaco. It's lights out and away we go here at Monaco, and Steve's off to a cracking start ahead of Nico Rosberg, ahead of Lewis Hamilton going into turn 1. Can he keep the lead? Yes he can, and everyone gets through turn 1 nice and safely. Not a bad start from Steve, if I do say so myself. It's been a while, well, a couple of races now, but it's going to be Steve Fox that wins the infamous Monaco Grand Prix in the Haas, and he must be absolutely ecstatic, and the team must be fantastically delighted.
Hey, our upgrade pace is looking solid right now, but I do think we need to push harder if we want to stay competitive. Here's the report.
Here we are, live in Montreal at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, where the teams are making final preparations before today's practice session gets underway. In 1999, the outside track wall, situated on the last corner of the lap, ended the race of 3 Formula One world champions, Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher and Jacques Villeneuve. Since then, the wall has come to be known to fans around the world as the infamous Wall of Champions.
Turns 13 and 14 are definitely the most demanding corners on the track. A quick chicane section, entering at over 180 miles per hour, drivers use plenty of curb and get very close to the wall. But hitting those curbs at the wrong angle can easily put the car offline. You'll see a lot of drivers bail out of committing into turn 13, using the escape road to avoid contact with the wall.
Hey guys, I'm Viper and welcome back to my Steve Fox career mode, and as you can see we're at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve for the Canadian Grand Prix. So we're going to jump straight into practice, and whilst we're obviously looking at how Steve did in the track customization test and the other tests that were obviously on during that practice session, which was obviously the qualifying pace and the tyre degradation test, just to quickly mention, as you saw at the start of the video for a few seconds, that we've got a performance comparison on how ourselves, Williams and Force India are doing. Now as it stands, our team is progressing relatively well compared to the likes of Williams and also to the likes of Force India. Now Force India is obviously, like I said, Force India is dropping off a little bit. Williams is progressing well and we're actually catching Williams, so with a bit of luck we should be able to overtake Williams soon enough. But anyway, that's the first thing I want to get out of the way. But like I said, this Grand Prix had quite a few twists and turns. Like I said, practice was nothing much, guys, so you're going through different sort of tests and all that sort of stuff. And then when we got to qualifying, it was kind of a tale of mixed fortunes. Mainly just dry, to be honest. But the race was something different, as you'll get onto that later. But anyhow, as you can see, Steve's passed the track customization test, no problem. He's passed the tyre degradation test. And with the qualifying pace one, he did kind of struggle. Now on lap 1, he came across the line and ended up getting a time which was quicker than Lewis Hamilton at the top of the timing sheets, and ended up getting the target time which was 7th. But unfortunately, as the practice session went on, he wasn't able to top that time, meaning 7th place is as good as it was going to get, which was the result that the team was after initially. But that's everything from practice. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll now hand you over to the commentators who can run down the practice results and see where Steve came.
As all the cars are now over the line, your top 3 again are Rosberg, a Haas and Valtteri Bottas. Practice times are on the board then, but no points are on offer just yet. We'll be back with more F1 action soon.
Right, so as you can see from the practice results, it's Nico Rosberg who tops the time sheets, with Steve Fox on the ultra soft tyres a 10th of a second behind. Then Valtteri Bottas conceding 3rd, Daniel Ricciardo 4th, Lewis Hamilton 5th on the soft tyres, so the quickest of the soft runners, on a 1:14.7, mere 3.5 tenths off Nico Rosberg. See Sebastian Vettel there in 6th, Romain Grosjean there in 7th on the super soft, Verstappen 8th, Kimi Räikkönen 9th, Danny Kvyat and Carlos Sainz are the 2 Toro Rossos line up next to each other in 10th and 11th, Felipe Massa there 12th, Sergio Perez 13th, Fernando Alonso 14th, Magnussen 15th, Hulkenberg 16th, Button 17th, Haryanto 18th, Ericsson 19th, Palmer 20th, Wehrlein 21st, and Nasser 21st. That's been all, 22nd, sorry. That's been all from the practice, and now I'm going to hand you over to the agent who's going to give our qualifying goals.
Hi, just letting you know that we've had the team's expectations through for the upcoming qualifying session.
So as you can see then there are our qualifying goals. We have to qualify 8th or higher, which could be easier said than done, but we'll have to see. We need to beat Romain Grosjean, and we, most of all, since we've failed our rivalry against Lewis Hamilton, we need to make sure we beat him fair and square this time. Again, this will be a challenge at a track where Lewis Hamilton is fairly strong. Without further ado, let's jump straight into qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix.
Good afternoon, and we hope you're ready for an exciting qualifying session as the teams make their final preparations here in Canada. When it comes to getting lap time out of this circuit, it's traditionally been about maximising top speed. Do you simply remove as much downforce as possible, hang on into the corners and max out down the straights?
Top speed is a key factor for this circuit. Even if you can achieve the same lap time as someone running less wing than you, chances are you'll find overtaking difficult if you have too much drag.
Right, so here we are then for the qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix. And like I said, it was a bit of a mixed fortunes. Now, the session was dry the whole way through, so there was no changes in the weather. However, the pace of the different tyres for Steve thought that, well, it took him a couple of attempts really, because at first, his first lap wasn't that great. He did go wide on a few corners, wasn't able to gain that much time. You see, getting a lot of oversteer in the car as he goes through Sector 1. He encountered a lot of oversteer on the ultra soft tyres, but as he went on throughout the lap, he noticed that Vettel set the standard lap time, pole position. It was like 7 tenths off in the middle sector, and coming across the line, he's 6.5 tenths down, and Grosjean actually qualified above us at this stage. But later on, he actually managed to come across the line to smash that time and get a provisional pole time of a 1:13.3, which beat Vettel by quite a margin. But did Steve manage to get pole position for the actual race? Well, you're about to find out, so now hand you over to the commentators who are going to run down the full qualifying results as always.
As we wind down from the excitement of qualifying, here's a look at your top three. Hamilton, Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Right, so an interesting qualifying session then, and that, as you can see, Lewis Hamilton is on pole for the Canadian Grand Prix, with Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen in second and third. Then you see the other Mercedes of Nico Rosberg there in fourth place, Daniel Ricciardo there in fifth, Max Verstappen in sixth, Steve Fox, our teammate, in seventh place, Nico Hulkenberg in the first Force India in 8th place, our teammate in 9th place, but as you can see he's got a 5-place grid penalty. Don't know what that was for though. You see then you've got the two Williams that are lined up 10th and 11th, Danny Kvyat lines up 12th, Sergio Perez 13th, Carlos Sainz 14th, Harry Anto 15th, Fernando Alonso 16th, Button 17th, although another person's got a 5-place grid penalty. Felipe Nasr 18th, Jody and Palmer 19th, Ericsson 20th, again with a 5-place grid penalty, Magnussen 21st and Wehrlein 22nd. And like I said, because these 5-place grid penalties, those people that are above or below people with the penalties will start above them. So could be an interesting grid for tomorrow, that's for sure. Without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to the agent who's going to give our race goals for the Canadian Grand Prix.
Hey, how are you? I have some information on the race goals you should keep in mind.
Right, so as you can see from the race goals, we need to make sure we finish the race in 8th place or higher, which should be a challenge considering that we're on legend difficulty again for this race. We need to make sure that we beat Romain Grosjean, obviously that's always our objective, and we need to make sure we place higher in the race standings than Lewis Hamilton. So that's going to be really tricky, especially at a track where we know Lewis Hamilton is really strong. Obviously placing 14th or higher in the Drivers' Championship is quite easy since, well, we're leading the championship, so even if we lose this race, which I'm hopefully sure that we don't finish outside the top 10, we still won't lose enough places to drop down below 14th, so getting that will be a breeze. And without further ado, I'm going to hand you over now to the main event, which is of course the Canadian Grand Prix.
There is, as I look out of my commentary box window, a very large and very excited crowd here today, eagerly anticipating another memorable race. Lewis Hamilton took his maiden win on this circuit in 2007. Jenson Button came from last place to win here in 2011. And there's certainly no shortage of drama on offer here at the Canadian Grand Prix. If you want flat-out racing, you've come to the right place this weekend, as it's full throttle for 59% of this 2.7-mile circuit, peaking at around 210 miles per hour going into the final chicane. But that speed requires discipline, and there are more than a few close walls here just waiting to punish drivers with a heavy right foot. It's a favourite for fans and drivers alike then here in Canada. We're used to seeing the unexpected happen here, and with me today to enjoy it all is Anthony Davidson, a man who knows firsthand the surprises that can pop up in this race.
I do indeed. I had a good chance at some points here in 2007, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. My old colleague Takuma Sato, though, he managed to finish 6th, so the team took home 3 valuable points, and that was a big boost to everyone at the time. I'm not sure I can think of anywhere else that so consistently provides the kind of late race excitement we get here. Obviously, towards the end of the Grand Prix, the brakes are getting worn, maybe the weather situation has changed, so there's a lot to keep fighting for all the way up to that final corner.
We're in a better grip position than we were expecting. Let's see if we can hold on to it.
With that then, let's run through the grid order. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid we have Raikkonen, Rosberg, Daniel Ricciardo and Verstappen, a Haas, Hülkenberg, Massa and Valtteri Bottas, Kvyat, Perez, Carlos Sainz and Grosjean, Haryanto, Alonso, Felipe Nasser and Jolyon Palmer, Magnussen and Wehrlein, Marcus Ericsson and Jenson Button completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Right, so it's race day here at Canada, and as you can see, it's a very miserable race day, similar to that sort of time when back in 2011, when obviously it was a full wet race with Jenson Button winning that race, of course. So they might be able to pull off the inevitable. You never know. And just seeing from what happened in Australia, Steve could do it. As you see, we're actually going to change our stint from wets to intermediates, because as you saw the weather forecast at the top earlier, the weather will be changing over the course of the race. So it'll be quite interesting to see what happens, that's for sure. Hopefully the strategy pulls off. And without further ado, let's head down to the grid and of course the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. So we're revving up to 5 red lights here at the Canadian Grand Prix. And it's lights out and away we go, and a decent start by Steve Fox there. Is he going to try and get up the inside of both Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo? He does, but he hits Max Verstappen. There was contact with Verstappen going to turn 1. As he gets a warning for colliding with Verstappen, but is he going to try and round the outside of Ricciardo and Raikkonen? No, he's not, but he gets a really decent exit out of turn 2. As you see, goes up the inside of both Raikkonen and Ricciardo, goes into turn 3, and there's been a bit of contact. The yellow flags are out, but it's going to be a green flag. And what a start by Steve there. 7th to 4th in a couple of corners. Not bad at all. I have to admit, Steve just shows his expertise. And this is on Legend, by the way. Steve has shown this season that if there's any good conditions that he's good at, no matter what weather conditions, it's the wet. And it proves, as you can see on lap 2, he's already caught up to the Mercedes of Nico Rosberg. As you see, he's got so much more pace in the wet. And obviously in the wet, you've no DRS or anything assisting you, so it really puts you on a more level playing field with these Mercedes and obviously the Ferraris. As you see, Vettel is next up the road after making that pass on Rosberg. As you see, this section here, I noticed that Vettel was going a bit slow, and Steve also thought, well, you know what, I'm going to make the best of a bad opportunity. Is he going to try and go up the inside? He does, he goes through the gates. Is he going to make the corner though? Just about makes the corner. Nice clean move and very good car control. However, we are going to stay on board with Steve here. As you can see, he does get quite a bit of oversteer coming out of that corner, because next on the list, or next on his hit list, should we say, for the race, is of course the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. As you can see, coming down into the braking zone now, he's going to clip just slightly over the curb there, As you can see, going up through the gears, he's right behind Lewis Hamilton. He's right in his slipstream. He's going to go around the outside, going on to lap 3. So that's the fastest lap of the race. Hits Lewis. Does he outbrake him into turn 1? He's going to go side by side with the reigning world champion. He's going to stick to the inside line. Hamilton's got the outside line. He's going to make the pass for the lead. And he does. As you can see, just pulls away. And he's up into the lead of this Canadian Grand Prix. And as you can see, he might just actually pull the gap out. But coming on to lap 6, as you can see, Hamilton actually decided to pit the lap earlier and put onto intermediate. So Steve thought, I'll go one extra lap on the wet tyres, because he thought it was still wet enough for the wets. Didn't think it was wet enough for the intermediates. You know, not dry enough to be intermediate conditions. So as you can see, he came in a lap later than everybody else. Rosberg's obviously gone on to intermediates as well. And as you can see, he comes out of the pits, and Lewis Hamilton's already passed to set the fastest lap of the race in the process. As you can see, Sebastian Vettel there in second place. He's going to jump Vettel. He does. He comes right out behind Lewis Hamilton. It did actually take a while to catch Lewis, because Lewis had quite a good pace in intermediates compared to his wet pace, and it took quite a few laps. And you see lap 8, he's just about managing to do it, and as coming to the end of sector 1, he goes up the inside once again, nice and clean, nice clean move there. Up the inside, Lewis Hamilton take the lead of this race once again. And going on to lap 12 now, which is skipping quite a bit. He managed to pull a decent gap out to the champion there, to Lewis Hamilton. And he's actually decided that at this point, it was a bit of a bold strategy, I thought, but Steve thought, well, you know what, there's a big dry line forming on the track, and he decided to risk it. Instead of going on to the softs, or the ultra soft, he gambled in the middle, so he went for the super softs, because he knew that the ultra softs probably wouldn't last until the end of the race. So it's a bold strategy. As you can see, he's already sliding about all over the place coming out the pits. But bear in mind, at this point, as you see, he goes quite a bit wide at the end of the pit lane there, so it could have been a risk too early to make. However, moving on down the line of the race, as you'll see in a second, we actually managed to pass all 3 of the guys in front, so Rosberg, Vettel and Hamilton, who are all pitted just on lap 14 coming on to lap 15, and they all pitted onto the ultra soft tyres. And then from here, it was about keeping the lead and holding it. As you can see, a lap later on lap 16, Hamilton completely reeled us in. As you can see, coming down the back straight, he's going to go down the inside. Steve's going to try and hold it, going through the chicane. He had to cut the chicane because otherwise we wouldn't have had enough room, and we might have ended up smashing into the wall along with Hamilton. But as you can see, coming on to the final lap of the race, it's ourselves versus Vettel versus Hamilton for once again a last lap. A bit of last lap action and a last lap chance to show you just how close it was. Just like Monaco, it's happened again here in Canada. As you can see, Vettel and Hamilton are on the ultra softs, so they will be reeling us in. However, I noticed through sector 1 that we managed to slightly pull out a bit of a gap into sector 1. But coming through sector 2 here, as you can see, we're out a tad bit wide. The track is still a slight bit damp in some places, but here comes Vettel alongside now on the left hand side, going to the braking zone. He outbrakes us, but we managed to stick to the racing line, and we managed to keep the lead of this Canadian Grand Prix. So Vettel is still second ahead of Hamilton, but see, coming down into the chicane for the final time on the last lap, see the gaps are just short of a second, so both Vettel and Hamilton have both got DRS on me, meaning that I'm going to be a sitting duck on this last straight. Now bear in mind, in the dry conditions we were absolutely terrible in the straight line. As you can see, Vettel's kind of closing up on us, but going into the last corner, is there anything bad going to happen? He runs wide, Steve runs wide, hits the wall, and it's going to be a run to the line against Vettel with DRS. And you see Lewis Hamilton, is he going to try and get the lead? And he just about holds on there to win a fantastic Canadian Grand Prix. And the team, as you can hear on the radio, are absolutely ecstatic.
Brilliant stuff from Haas today. What a superb victory. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
The difference was clearly in the strategy. You could tell they'd done a lot of work on the pit wall to really optimise each stint and get the most out of the tyres. And it highlights just how much of a team sport this really is. And the credit to the driver as well, though. There's no good having a well-oiled machine behind the scenes without a talented hand on the wheel, of course.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be Haas picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for coming out on top in that amazing Grand Prix. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. Our current points leader extends their lead at the top of the championship after a very good result here today. Now then, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
I'm going to say Jenson Button. People always say he's a really smooth driver, but as he's shown here today, that's not at the expense of speed or overtaking skill.
On to the constructors then. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. That's it for today's Grand Prix, and from Ant and I, it's goodbye and see you again next time.
So as you can see then from the results of that action-packed Canadian Grand Prix, it's Steve Fox that takes yet another victory for the Haas team from Sebastian Vettel by 68 thousandths of a second. That was a lot closer than the one in Monaco. See Lewis Hamilton only 2 tenths behind. Rosberg there in 4th place, 2 seconds behind. You see there's quite a bit of a gap to Kimi Raikkonen, who dropped a place from 3rd to 5th. Bottas moved up from 10th to 6th, albeit 19 seconds down. As you see, Verstappen there in 7th, Danny Clear 8th, Perez 9th, Grosjean, despite starting 14th because of a 5 place grid penalty, finished 10th. Daniel Ricciardo finished outside of the points, with Felipe Massa there finishing in 12th, Button finishing 13th. Not a bad result considering he started from drop dead last. Carlos Sainz there in 14th, Rio Haryanto finished where he started, Jordan in 15th, Jordan Palmer finished in 16th alongside Marcus Ericsson. Alonso dropped down to 18th, Pascal Wehrlein moved up to 19th. As you can see there, Magnussen, Nasser and obviously Hulkenberg filling out the last 3 places, with Hulkenberg, as you see, getting a DNF unfortunately. But then moving on to the incidents of the race, there was quite a few, mainly just warnings. As you can see, Verstappen and ourselves, Steve Fox, got warnings for colliding with each other. Verstappen got another warning for colliding with Hulkenberg on the same lap. Then on lap 5, see Ericsson collided with Button, Alonso collided with Haryanto, and Haryanto got one back for colliding with Alonso. Nasser got a warning for colliding with Magnussen. See Steve Fox there got a warning for exceeding track limits on lap 8 and 14. Verstappen got a warning for colliding with Raikkonen. See Grosjean, our teammate, got a warning for colliding with Danny Clear, and obviously on lap 11 Nico Hulkenberg there retiring with a mechanical failure. So not a good day for him on the Force India team. Obviously Perez I don't think managed to finish in the points neither, so not a great day for the team. As you see though, our gap between ourselves and second place has been extended to 28 points. We now lead at 128 points, with Nico Rosberg still in second, Vettel 3rd, Hamilton 4th, Raikkonen moves up to 5th off a brilliant result, which means Ricciardo drops down to 6th, Verstappen moves up to 7th ahead of Felipe Massa, who's in 8th. As you can see, Valtteri Bottas, Daniel Kvyat, Roman Grosjean, Alonso and the rest of the drivers all stay where they are on the points that they had, even though some of the drivers, including Bottas, all got points this race. Nobody was a major move, nobody moved up or down. You see, just scrolling through the list. It's still Jenson Button who's in 16th, who's yet to score any points. Even after that fantastic drive, he wasn't able to get in the points. It would have been better if he could, because it would be nice to see him get some points on the board, as would it be for a Manor or a Renault or even a Sauber to get some points on the board. That would be absolutely fantastic. As you see, they're going all up from Button down to Nasser, no points, no points, as you'd probably say. And unfortunately not a good day for them. And the constructors, things haven't changed there either. Nobody's moved up or down, but in terms of the gap between the teams now, Mercedes have had the gap closed from, I think it was 26 points to 25. Ferrari gained a point on them. We managed to gain a point on Mercedes, however it was Ferrari who gained the most points of the day, with ourselves in 3rd there, so we lost a point to both Ferrari and Mercedes. You see Red Bull there in 4th, Williams 5th, Toro Rosso 6th, Force India 7th, with McLaren Honda 3 points behind. They see Sauber, Manor and Renault all with no points at all. And on that note, it is time to end this episode here. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you did, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. I'm sure to comment down below what you thought of the result, and also what you think of the series so far, how it's going and so on. And until next time, we will see you, me and Steve will see you for the next race, which I believe is in Baku, so it'll be quite an interesting race. That'll be 50% race distance with Legend AI as per usual. And until next time, I'm Viper Racing, I've been Viper Racing, you guys have been also watching. I'll see you guys in my next video. Ta-ra!